Let's take a we're going to take a cold hard segue here with Michael Brooks from the Majority Report, and we're going to talk about just the level of disdain that we are going to show to Donald Trump over the next 4 years, man. First of all, man, how are you feeling about this race? And just talk about something for me real quick.
I mean, look, let me just say three quick things. So one, to be really blunt, and I know everybody who listens to the Majority Report knows, like, I actually straight up left early in the show today just because I've been, like, literally physically sick. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Number two, I think that it's very important. I just got back from a dinner I had with my good friend, Phil McKenzie, my co-host on Two Dope Boys. I think it's very important, that you realize that, obviously we say it like a cliche, it's a divided country, but your communities, your networks, there's a lot of people, actually a little bit more than half of the country that will, resist this, that won't go along with it.
Yeah.
And the resistance is big. Number three, and I'm no interest whatsoever in score settling, and I that I thought a lot of this shit about the primary was really overblown and people drew the wrong lessons of it. But look, the whole husk of the old establishment of the Democratic Party is done.
Yeah.
It's done. It needs to go. Bill Clinton was elected twice president in the 1990s because he's a charismatic dude. That's it. There's no political genius at work. There's no incredible extra skill or reading of the landscape. I think that Hillary Clinton absolutely was a victim of sexism and misogyny, and it's disgusting, and the FBI played an almost coup-like role in this race. But the bottom line is that it was, it was a beyond winnable race.
Yeah.
These people do not know what they're doing. They're insulated in money and elitism and the old systems of money and elitism. And right now, basically the leaders of the Democratic Party are in fact Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and I pray to God, I just have to say, because this is so important. This is so crucial that, there's going to be a million groups that pop up in the next little while, saying like, we got to, rethinking the left. What's the next strategy? How to survive under Trump? And I know, obviously Ben and you and I and other people have those kind of conversations. The same people who have been failing for the last several decades are going to be getting foundation money and contracts to do those groups. And I'm not trying to like take away anybody's livelihood. And maybe if someone comes and says, look, I'm humble, I fucked up, I'm wrong, but I have a particular skill set, how can I contribute? That's fine. But if it's like, we went from, this think tank to this campaign and we fucked everything up and now we have $10 million to fight for climate in the Trump age, get the fuck out of here.
Absolutely,
you need to put money and resources to new people and do new things, because this is absolutely unacceptable.
Dude,
and it's on that husk, that dead husk.
It has to go, man. You said it last night, or today. We were talking earlier today. You were like, they've made this model around. They've made projections. They've made maps. They've made estimations. They predicted, they created entire infrastructure or financial infrastructure. They created all of these things based on the idea that they could replicate Bill Clinton. And the fact of the matter is, we've not had a charismatic, but the person that we had that was equally as charismatic as Bill Clinton ran against the Clinton machine and beat it, because the Clinton machine could not reproduce someone as charismatic as Bill Clinton. They've never been able to do that. They would not be able. So this is the opportune time. And this is what I want to tell. I'll talk about the Green Party later, but I want to tell all the progressives this is your opportunity to walk dead smack into a Democratic Party meeting right now tonight. Matter of fact, stop listening to the show and go to a meeting. They're happening right now. Take the emails that show how complicit the DNC was. Take your data and show them that it was not the fault of Jill Stein, and demand that they clean house. Every party from top to bottom, local, state, federal, everywhere, needs to be cleaned. Every bit of Clintonism needs to be purged and erased out of the system, and start from scratch from the left. That's what needs to happen right now today. Go ahead, Dave. Michael.
No, I mean, look, I agree completely. And I think the other big thing about this campaign is there's an argument that in some ways we're going to need to stop having, we're going to need to synthesize, this whole thing. And look, I'm with it. I think that identity politics has been used in some incredibly stupid and destructive ways to undermine progressive economic arguments. And that was done by the Clinton campaign in the primary. On the flip, I definitely think that there's some people who they focus on the economic to the detriment of understanding other complexities. And you know what? The conclusion of this race is that they were both right. I mean, look, if you had, I think, a real robust economic case and a candidate that inspired people, then the numbers would track up. I think Barack Obama would have won this race. I think Joe Biden would have won this race. I think Bernie might have, and I think Elizabeth Warren probably would. So that's important. But on the flip side, she ran into a barge of, white hatred. And, yes, if we dig into the specifics of the numbers, and I agree with you, Barack actually did better with whites than she did. And there's a variety inside the Trump voting bloc, but there is a chunk. There is a real chunk where it really is about race. It really is about gender. That's why you saw some of the districts in the country that had the best job recovery went for Trump. And that's that identity shit. So, we need to deal with both.
Yeah.
Not one at the excuse of the other, but people need to stop, balkanizing, getting into these dumb arguments, and really thinking robustly. And, the thing is now is that, we've been off in all these petty conflicts, and now all of it is going to be under assault. The whole thing. Because the agenda from the Republicans is to fortify 21st century servitude, make inequality worse, give corporations every type of power imaginable, roll back the environment, and have the assaults on, people of color, gay people, lesbian, transgender people, Muslims, and everybody else. And frankly, to a significantly lesser degree, and not legally, but even just have the cultural battle within whiteness. I mean, I was joking with somebody. I got to get in front of the Trump Tower and be like, "Oh, I would like to restore my whiteness and good standing, please." But I'm just playing. I'm obviously way too far gone for that.
Nah, man, you're
said
out of
and
the
done
club,
far too many things. I'm out.
You're out.
Too much time on your show. Too much time on.
You hang around with black people too much, man. So listen, I agree with you. I agree. You can't hang around this many black people and still be cool with the Donald Trump badge. Because listen, you said something really key.
It's not gonna happen.
There's something really key that you said. Number one, you said that there's some counties that had wonderful recoveries that turned on Obama and went for Donald Trump, right? If they had an economic recovery and things are good in their community, it's really clear that this was like a backlash against Barack Obama. On the flip side, there are some other factors in play. There are some communities that push back against Barack Obama that went for Obama that just refused to go for Hillary Clinton. And so it's a combination of all the above, right? You do have racism involved in this. You do have sexism involved in this. You have sexism from women. You have women who just straight out say, we don't want that woman, or we don't want a woman, right? I've heard it all. And part of the equation simply is that they hate Hillary Clinton more than they hated Barack Obama. So it's not super complex, but it's not a single trope like a lot of the journalists are trying to make it. They're trying to say this is basically third party fault.
No, I agree with you. And I know we'll get to this other stuff in a second, but I just got to say it really quick. This is what my beef, with President Obama is that, and I've said so many times, I mean, I'm a critic politically and policy-wise who just likes the man and appreciates his leadership. So that's, my perspective on Obama. But the thing with Barack Obama is that he used his legacy will be a positive one in many respects. Some of it will get undone. Some of it will be re-reviewed and not look so good, like the Wall Street stuff and certain parts of foreign policy. But at the end of the day, he beat the Clintons only to create a vehicle for him, essentially. And it's a decent vehicle, and he will be an important historical figure. But there wasn't an alternative infrastructure, even within frankly, because his politics and the Clinton politics are quite similar.
Yeah.
But there still wasn't even a sense of like a new and distinct infrastructure for some type of like 21st century centrism.
But you know why?
Yeah, why do you think?
It's 100% because they could not have an existing structure to compete with the Clinton structure, right? The Clinton, Obama either agreed to do it directly, or the Clintons made sure that there would not be a competing infrastructure, because let's be real, put Obama's machine behind Bernie Sanders, and there is no President Fuckface Von Clownstick. There is no President Trump. So they made sure that organized OFA that's gone the way of the dinosaurs, and I'm sure Barack Obama has something to do with it directly. Maybe he just didn't have the desire to see this thing last in perpetuity like the Clinton machine. But also you can't have two masters trying to share the same throne. So that's my take.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. No, that's true. And from the beginning, though, with OFA, it was about a personal relationship that he had with the constituency. It wasn't about a policy agenda. Yeah. And I think that's that's the bigger, and that's why you get a situation where, because even when you talk about those whites, I mean, I remember an anecdote from 2012, which was amazing to me, because I assume if this woman is still around, I'm sure she voted for Donald Trump. They went to West Virginia, which, is a state that, Obama didn't even win. And they found a woman who, she was like, I don't care what he says. Barack Obama's a Muslim. Yeah. And, she went down the list, blah, blah. And then the hook in the article is like what made it not like a million other articles that were written, was that she was voting for him over Romney. And she's like, better to be a Muslim than have a silver spoon in your mouth. And I think, even though I don't really trust him and I don't think he's a Christian, I think he probably will keep an eye out for me more than Mitt Romney. Wow. Now, I am sure that woman did not think that Hillary Clinton
was going to do the same for her.
Now, that's optics. Yeah, it's optics, and that's not how I would vote. But if you don't build a foundation for governance and models of governance, then it is just going to come down to those choices. And then you pick a mediocre candidate. Yeah. Boom. There you go.
Every single time. Mike, people are saying that we should be respectful to President Donald Trump, President-elect Donald Trump. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about that?
First of all, I was talking about Phil. I will never call him my president. He's not. And not only that, I mean, look, also because let's not even miss within all of this that the only reason he is president is because of another antiquated, insane institution that progressives should have been fighting decades to overturn, the Electoral College. I mean, he did not actually get more votes than Hillary Clinton. We should not entirely forget that. And look, I mean, the dude is, on some level, I guess I respect the hustle. That's the only thing. But mentally unhinged, racist, bigot, buffoon, jackass, and the fucking Klan. Yeah. And all of these the Klan, people are not my people. Yeah. They're criminals. They're racist. They're stupid. They're disgusting. They might even be borderline into incest. And those are not my people. They're my political enemies. And they need to lose. They need to go. That's it. I mean, that's it. So you'll never hear me. You never catch me saying anything good about the man. Ever.
See me.
Wake me up in my sleep. I'll be like, he's orange. What?
Dude, and then the real talk to me is this is what it is for me. Listen, I have a lot of disagreements with President Obama. But one of the reasons I am triggered to always defend President Obama is the unprecedented disrespect that the Republicans showed this president. And it made it even worse that he was the first black president. So, it's underneath my skin to see every time they disrespected him. I have zero responsibility to respect Donald Trump by virtue of what Republicans have shown us over the last 8 years. I will show Donald Trump 10% less respect than they show, because there's a tax. You got to pay a tax, motherfuckers. You got to pay a tax for how you treated President Obama. The 10% tax, I'm going to treat Donald Trump 10% worse than you treated Barack Obama. And I don't want to hear a single Democrat come to me and say, oh, you better, respect the office. No. I don't have to respect the office when you've spent the last 8 years undermining the office. And what we have to be careful to do is not put ourselves in the position where we constantly try to be the bigger people and always acquiesce to people who will never budge for us no matter what the situation is. That will put us in a constant position of always cowering before Republicans who are essentially acting like terrorists. They won't give us an inch, but demand everything from us. And it's time out for that, man. We've done that enough.
No, I mean, look, President Obama, if he came out and said, look, I want to be clear, I apologize, but I'm a Muslim, and I'm going to pass the Ryan budget, they would have been like, yeah, but he should resign. He's so arrogant.
Yeah.
I mean, the treatment of Barack Obama was disgusting. And I mean, my thing is, too, is that this is the other problem in popular discourse around these things, is we interpret very deep and profound truths that might be exemplified in, like, there's a Jewish theologian who influences me named Martin Buber, who writes about I and thou relationships versus I and it relationships, or someone like Nelson Mandela, who is able to, recognize humanity while still being a shrewd tactician and strategist and revolutionary, is entirely different than this sort of Sunday morning stuffed-faced bloviating about, like, well, yeah, I mean, we got to give him a chance. I mean, no, the reality is
we
that
don't.
You have signified, first of all, no, we don't need to give him anything. And secondly, what has happened is that we, through a variety of reasons, from the nature of the Republican Party, going back to Ronald Reagan announcing his candidacy in a town where civil rights workers were murdered and talking about, states' rights, to Richard Nixon being a domestic criminal, through Barack Obama and what they did to him. This is a party that has emboldened bigotry, criminality, misogyny, cruelty, and advocates bullying. And then what happened is you came along and this dude was just like, well, wait a second, I can actually do that.
Yes.
I don't need to speak in subtext. I do grab women by the pussy. I mean, whatever, she's a 3. It's fine. And that's is what it is. And the truth, and I don't respect any of it. I think you have created a context where and this is something that, some of my sort of, people that have annoyed me on the left didn't even get it. It's as simple as you sent a message to a kid that got bullied because they have a burqa or because they have a Mexican name or they're from Somalia and they're getting called, fucking porch monkey while they play soccer in Lewiston, Maine by parents on the other team. You have sent a signal to all those kids that they are wrong and that the people calling them and bullying them are right. And it's disgusting. I'll never respect it. I'll never pretend to respect it. And I will do nothing besides fight it.
I fight it every single day, like never. And see, they need us, Michael. They need us because you know what? I don't care. I'm not getting anything from the system, so why would I care to be subservient to the system? I owe them nothing. They owe me nothing. But they need us to hold the line in this manner. They need us to be the crazy ones on the left so that they can try to deal with the more moderate ones in the not to the center. Like, we're done with that, right? When I say moderate ones, I'm talking about Bernie Sanders, right? They need to realize that we are crazy over here and that we are just as determined as they are. We are just as intransigent if we need to be as they are. We will up the ante on anything. We will always escalate to the next level. That's us over here. That's our job. It's going to be the job of the statesman to actually let them know, okay, you don't want to deal with them over there on the far left, so deal with me, Bernie Sanders, right? That's what we have to set up. And I don't mind being the bad guy because we have too many pundits, we have too many quote unquote journalists who are always trying to ingratiate themselves to power by kowtowing to it, and we never get anything done.
Well, and it's also what led to this situation. Again, the real irony to me is that I don't there's a part of me, there's this sort of rough and tumble part of me which likes all this brawling, but I'm into having a nice, NPR style seminar and talking things out. Okay. All right. I have these different parts of my personality, but the reality is that I guess, I think some of it just comes down to life experience. You need to recognize who and what you're dealing with. And before Donald Trump came along, and he's, the worst and latest iteration, but you got to know what and who you're dealing with. And these are people that don't, as you say, they don't give an inch. And that's completely distinct from, if you want to say like what Van Jones is attempting to do, which I'm not sure I, really think it's fruitful, but if you want to say, I want to figure out, quote unquote, someone who works at a, Walmart somewhere who voted for Trump or whatever, and you want to do some type of civic dialogue, maybe some projects like that could be fruitful. But in the world we're in, of political operatives, of journalists, of people that this is their careers, man.
Yeah.
This is it. And the thing is, too, is that, you go back to, I know I'm a little bit all over the place, but I am pissed. But look at Megyn Kelly for a second, okay? Now, it's disgusting that she was harassed by Roger Ailes. It's terrible and deplorable how Donald Trump treated her. But this is a woman who, we in our side, as you were alluding to, we're so quick to, look at Megyn Kelly standing up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine. Give her credit. I know how she built her career.
Yes.
She built her career on deplorable fucking race baiting, just shy of what Donald Trump says. And actually, I have to say, ironically, Donald Trump has randomly said things specifically about African Americans, which are actually far more compassionate and interesting than anything Megyn Kelly has ever said. And I don't say that to put him on a pedestal, because fuck him. But I'm saying fuck all of them, and you need to realize what you're dealing with.
The only person who comes on the show and cusses more than me is Michael Brooks, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all give Michael Brooks a hand. Oh man, Michael, you actually make me blush with your cussing, man. And I cuss quite a bit, but we're not on radio, so who cares, right? You're absolutely right, man. We do these symbolic gestures of, we always try to say, oh, this person is such a good, or they're a better person. We try to do the comparison game and say Megyn Kelly is better than Donald Trump. No, Megyn Kelly is pretty much the person that helped bring us Donald Trump, right? We try to do, oh, the North Carolina GOP office got burned down. Let's be the better humans, everybody, and let's raise money for them. No, let them stay shut down.
And you know what, Benjamin? You know what, man? There is a fucking community garden in the Bronx that was shut down. I think it was there. I don't even remember why. It might have been vandalized. It might have been a fire. But the point is that they didn't meet their fundraising targets to open up this garden again. Or you know what? I'll be more opportunistic, man. You know what? So why don't you throw some people that are doing analysis and opinion and building new ideas and new narratives? Throw them something.
Yeah.
Why don't you throw money to the fucking Audubon? I mean, there are literally millions of better ways to spend your money, including going out and getting drunk and finding a girl or a man or whatever your thing is to hook up with. The fact
besides
that money
to the North Carolina GOP, who have made the lives of transgendered Americans so much more difficult than any of us can even imagine. But we want to say, oh, we can play nice. We want to be so they desperately need us to be the bad guys. And I mean, I'm down for it. How about you?
Yeah, I think we got that covered. I remember, man, I was on a panel once on HuffPost Live. And it was, actually the Republican dude that was on it, in some ways, he's actually a very nice guy. He's probably, in some ways, the nicest person to deal with on the panel, because there was a bunch of these kind of pseudo-centrists who were way more irritating. But I remember at one point in the conversation, we were talking about poverty, and somebody said something effective like, well, we all disagree about how to address it, but we all, of course, want to get rid of poverty. And I remember I cut in. I was like, that's not true. Most people on that side, they think if you're poor, it's because you suck.
Yeah.
And that's what they believe. I have a fundamentally different belief, which leads to a fundamentally different politics.
Outcome. Yeah.
And we must get real about that. And we ran the play, because we ran the play now. It was like, let's have it's Hillary's turn. Let's run a campaign that really is just based off of the fact that Donald Trump is unacceptable.
Yeah.
We did it. We ran the play, and there's all the great analytics and the fundraisers, and he's such a buffoon, and we played into it too.
Dude.
And look, this is how it turned out.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, everything fell down. All of it. Ads, it doesn't matter. He didn't run. What did she have, like a 10-to-1 spending, or even higher than that on ad spends? Ground game. They had over the weekend. They had 7 million phone calls made, 8 million doors knocked on over the weekend. Ground game didn't matter. Ads didn't matter. Jay-Z, Beyonce, none of them mattered. All that mattered was Donald Trump was able to mobilize his base with anger and Twitter, and that's how he beat Hillary Clinton. We'll get into the data in a minute, but Michael, I don't know. I'm stuck on calling you David tonight. I know you are not David Brooks. Of all people, you're not David Brooks.
And I'm like the most non-David person you've ever met in your life.
You absolutely are. But this is honestly, to be honest with you, this is a result of David, my producer, calling in right before you called in. So that's why I have David in my head. And David, it happens, man.
All right, David. We'll take it up later.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, thanks so much for joining me, man. We'll have to get you back as often as we can.
Hey, Ben, we got to do a lot of things together. We got to really hang tight on this, and people really do need to, like, even in your interactions with friends and everything else, you know, that there's solidarity, there's work to do, and hang tight, and let's do it. So I'll talk to you soon. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
My pleasure, man. 857-600-0518 if you want to join the conversation. Be sure to check out Michael Brooks, not only on the Majority Report, but also check him out on Two Dope Boys and the podcast. When you check out the podcast, be sure to give the podcast a review on iTunes. I love having David.
No, you're just messing with me at this point.
No. I messed up again. I'm sorry. I love having Michael here on the show. And I thought I disconnected the call. Bye, Mike. I'll talk to you later, man.
All right, bye-bye.